Hey guys, what is up? Mark here, and in this video I'm going to tell you all about my build. I already did a video where I talk all about the components that you will need in order for you to build a gaming PC. If you haven't seen the video yet, you may check it out on the link above or add in the description down below. But in this video, I'm going to tell you all about the components that I have on my build. I do have a couple of boxes here which are already empty. They're actually just for visual aids since I'm currently using these components right now. In fact, I'm using it to record this video. Anyway, I'm going to tell you all about the options that I have to select from and the main reason why I went for that option. So yeah, what are we waiting for? Let's dive into it. Roll intro. Hey again, as always, thanks for tuning in to MacB TV. If you'd like to know more about computers, product reviews, and all the upgrades I'm going to make of my build, please follow me by subscribing to the channel and clicking that notification bell. You'll be updated on my latest uploads. Before we start, to set your expectation, I don't really have like a high-end build. It's more of like an entry-level budget build. As you might have noticed on my thumbnail, I don't really have a video card. My build here is actually less than $600. I bought it all in one shop, so if you like to build the same and if you go look for other sources, you might actually find a cheaper option and you might actually have a cheaper build than I have. But if you'd like to know more about the shop that I have, if you're in Cebu City and like to know more about the prices, the links on my social is provided down in the description. Then message me on Facebook, DM, Instagram, or Twitter, and I'll be happy to help you out. So I guess I'll start with my processor right here. Anyway, I'll no longer go into details on the technical specifications for each component. If you'd like to know more, I'll be providing a link on the specification for each component down in the description. Feel free to check them out. But anyway, what I have is a Ryzen 5 3400G. It is a 4-core 8-thread processor with a base clock of 3.7 GHz, can be boosted up to 4.2 GHz. This processor is unlocked. Well, I guess all AMD processors are, so you can overclock this processor. Just make sure that you have a capable motherboard and your cooling system can actually take the heat. Anyway, even though this is a 3000 series processor, it is not part of the 3rd generation or has a Zen 2 architecture. It's actually like a Zen Plus architecture. Let me show you. And it is actually the same with the 2400G, which is on the older or the 2000 series processors. This is an APU, which means it has an integrated graphics. That's what actually the G means on the 3400G. This has a Radeon RX Vega 11 graphics with 1400 MHz clock speed and 11 core count. That is why I don't have actually a dedicated GPU or graphics card on my build. Another option that I have when selecting the processor is the Ryzen 5 3600, which is actually the mainstream processor for this series. The only problem with the 3600 is that it does not have an iGPU, which means I need to pair it up with a graphics card. And if I'm going for a mainstream processor, I'll probably go with a mid-range graphics card if I can't get a high-end one. So it probably would pair it up with a 1660 Super or equivalent, or like similar graphics card as well, like for an AMD. And if you pair it up with the 3600, it will probably eat up almost half the budget. That is why I did not go for that option. But the biggest influence that I have when not going for the graphics card is that I knew way back in August when I did my build that a new series of graphics card will be released, which was recently released. Nvidia released the RTX 30 series, while AMD released Big Navi. So I know by that time that once these cards are out, the prices for the older series graphics card will probably go down, and I would probably like to take advantage of that situation, and hopefully I can or I'll end up having a high-end graphics card when I have that budget already. Moving on to my motherboard, what I have here is an MSI B450M Pro VDH Max. It supports the first, second, and third generation of Ryzen processors. It also supports Ryzen processor with Vega graphics on them. It has a DDR4 memory with a DDR4 boost feature. It has 4 DIMM slots with dual channel with a max memory of 128 gig. It also actually has a feature called Turbo M.2 using the PCIe Gen 3, as well as an audio boost feature. So the reason why I went for a 400 series chipset for my motherboard is because the X570 is too expensive for my build, and the B550 does not support Vega graphics at all. And the difference between the B450 and the X470 is the SLI feature, which I actually did not find the need to since I'll be using an integrated graphics. But the main reason is actually that the 400 series does support the 5000 series processor, which was recently released. That is the 4th generation of AMD processors. All you need to do is actually just do a BIOS update. A beta BIOS will be released this January. If you have a 400 series motherboard and you'd like to upgrade to a 5000 series processor, just wait for the BIOS update to be available and it should be compatible with this motherboard. Actually, I went also for an M or Micro series motherboard since my case is actually a Boston CS285. It is an M80X case, which actually perfectly fits this motherboard. Next up is my memory. What actually I have is a HyperX Fury 2x8 by 16 gig. It is a DDR4 memory with 2666 megahertz. I actually had to cut down my budget for the memory since I had to make room for another component on my build. Anyway, if you have seen my first video, I did mention that the memory is the easiest part to upgrade, so I can actually just go ahead and upgrade easily in the future once I have enough budget. And moving on to my storage, what I have is a 128 gig Lexar NS100 solid state drive. This is actually where my operating system is installed, and I do have a 1 terabyte Seagate Barracuda hard drive where my application, my games, and other files are stored. I actually had to cut down on the solid state drive as well to make room for so I can actually get the 1 terabyte Seagate Barracuda. Since I'd only be installing or be putting on the operating system on the solid state drive anyway, so I decided to go for a bigger hard drive instead. So moving on to my PSU, what I do have here is a Silverstone Strider Essential Series ST50F ES230. It is a 500 watt power supply with 80 plus efficiency rating. And since I'll be using an integrated graphics anyway, 500 watt would be enough to power up my system. Of course, it is recommended to actually have at least an 80 plus bronze efficiency rating. I would probably be upgrading to that power supply in the future as well, and as well as getting a modular power supply as well to give more efficiency with the cable management. And lastly, for my cooling system, which I did not really invest much in, I actually only have like 2 generic fans, one in the front to cool air into the system and one on the rear to push air out of the system. I did not really invest much since I knew that AMD's stock fan and heatsink is actually pretty good enough, and I'm not planning to overclock my system or processor anyway, so I think the cooling would probably be enough. But definitely I would be upgrading to a better fan or cooling system in the future once I have the video card. So that's it guys, hopefully you've learned something new and found value in this video. If you do have like a good recommendation for a $600 build, please let me know on the comment section down below. And if you'd like to know more about my build and the specific prices for the components, the link on my socials will be provided on the description down below. Feel free to message me on my Facebook page, DM me on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll be happy to assist you further on that one. And yeah, if you like these types of videos and these types of contents, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button and click that notification bell so you'll be updated on my latest videos. See you on the next one. Adios.